dogs ready to go back home? Let's get in this cool car. You guys are... The seat keeps getting rumpled up here. I blame you. You guys are just nothing but trouble. Let's see if the electric fuel pump still works. Yeah. Okay, let's see if it'll still start. Oh man! It's totally out of gas, but look at all those happy gauges. What a cool car. Well, should we see what's happening in the house? Looks like Michelle's having a dance party. Alright, well, just trying to clear the yard. I took the big Dodge truck to the dump. I wish I had my camera charged up because there was a pack rat living in the hood of the truck. So we cleaned out the hood of the truck, and so the pack rat went back to its other hidey hole in the garbage pile in the trunk and the back of the truck. So when we went to the dump, we took the pack rat with us and had to shovel them into the bin. Okay, and it's funny, rodents like inspire this like fear trigger. You know, you'll be you can't help but jump when a little rodent charges at you, even though, 100 times its size. Anyway, this is the next project out of the parking lot. What it's in here for is to do some wiring. So I like wiring. This trailer actually has been wired twice. And when it comes to wiring, I like to start with new stuff. There's a junction box. I mean, it's $30, but it comes with the plug, and it's all sealed and pre-wired, and you can do all your junctions back here, and then just slap the cover on it. And if anybody has to fix it in the future, you can get to everything. So that'll get mounted underneath here somewhere. Okay, shitty wiring review. These things are bogus. They never work. I mean, they work for a little while, but they'll always be a point of failure. So that's no good. This is actually the original harness. That's probably why they just ran new wires, is there's just too many things like that. That's really classy. These are just little plastic clips you can get at the hardware store. They sort of work, but they pinch the cables in between themselves, and when you squish it down, you can damage the cable, so you got to watch out for that. It's not a big enough loop. I don't like those, and obviously it was just kind of done shoddily. Let's see what else we got. One thing it does have that I've never really seen before are these little metal clips, which are kind of cool for like clipping the wires together and then clipping them on there. Of course, that's a perfect way to damage the cable. Sharp metal edges, wires getting crimped. I hate to see that because that leads, if both of those the insulation gets cut, they'll both ground out on this, and that's the end of it. That's acceptable. It'd be nicer if it was a heat shrink connector, but butt connectors, as long as you get them nice and crimped, are good. If you can't pull them apart, that means that they're crimped. And then I hate this stuff again. Like, why would you run it through the spring shackle? It's just, you don't need to. It's not contributing anything to the safety. You can't really tie wrap to something like that. Never a good idea. So we carry on to the front. More of these metal clips. Obviously they didn't believe the metal clips are going to work, so tie wrap around like that, which is actually working. It's holding that wire up there and safe and out of the way. Untrimmed ends, like all in the old days, a ship would come into port and all the lines would be loose and nothing coiled up, and they'd get made fun of, and I have the same scorn for these things. And so here's some original wiring, and interesting technique here, they welded a washer on sideways. I've never seen that. There's the ground for the brakes. I've got grounds that look a lot like that on my trailers. I'll give that a pass. At least you can get to it, unlike the one on this wheel, which is hidden back up there. You can get to it if you take the wheel off. Or not. And then this is like, okay, we know that's gonna suck, right? It's one of those, it's one of these, which anybody who does wiring will tell you those are shit. I actually like wire nuts. I use wire nuts a lot on roadside repairs. They're sturdy, they stay on, and at the end of the day you can quickly undo it and get back to the business of wiring. And it looks like the actual lights themselves are intact and not too rusty. And we'll be able to hook those up. Don't get distracted by all the rust and stuff. You're here to do the wiring. Got this thing, that transmission bolted right up. And I found in the scrap pile outside another intake and exhaust. It's off a 250, but I think it'll bolt right up to that 292. It looks the same, because this one has a cracked exhaust manifold. And I'm really trying to resist the urge to build my own intake with a fuel injection and build my own exhaust manifold with a turbo sitting right here and an intercooler bolted. Yeah, that's all just silliness. Let's just drive it the way it is. I mean, they don't even have a car for it. And these are these good soap displays. This is what the boards were that we were picking up in the last video. And I was all set to deliver these to Olympia and realized that these little nuts that take the casters were never welded on. And these feet have been the problem with these displays from the beginning. The first 6 trailer loads, all the feet broke off because these were never fully welded. They were only ever tacked on and no one ever checked, including me. And that was very expensive to repair. So we're gonna weld, anyway, blah, 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 not to complain, but production sucks. Oh, you just never know what's gonna happen. I had a person show up here and need stake pockets added to their truck. So some CNC cut, fold it over. Took about an hour to make all those. It'll probably take Jesse an hour to weld it on. $200 or so. That's one way to make $200. I don't know. I kind of made them maybe a little too snug here, but I guess he could always just file the end of the 2x4. But it didn't sound like he was taking these on and off very often.
No.
Yeah. So I got that truck bed done, and then I'm back to work here. I'm working on this. This is the cube fire pit drawing, but just trying to make it a little easier to make. The full seam weld down the seam is a drag. So now I've got it to where it folds over and then plug welds. Okay, so I'm making a big mess with this trailer here, having a great time. Got this going through a nice bone. And then it's going to come along under and get tie wrapped and then come back over and get mounted right there. And I like to go through and with white electrical tape and a Sharpie just to actually label everything, because it makes everything so much easier. And this is I think it's an RV, which uses different wire colors, so that can be confusing as well. And then I like to go ahead and mark the plug too. So when I go to wire it up to the trailer, I'm not guessing at what's what. It's just little things like that that make your life easier, because there are standards to this stuff. So now I'm in the back here, and I've figured out where all these wires are coming and going and how they're run through the tubes. So I'm pulling the cables back through their original routing through the lower trailer tubes. And you technically don't need a ground on these lights because the socket itself is grounded, but I'm going to go ahead and run an extra wire for a ground anyway since I have them. And then the brake and tail. I got my scissors. I use scissors a lot when I'm doing wiring just because there's so much just work great when it comes to making stuff shorter. Now I just need to electrical tape all this stuff together and then very carefully poke it through the hole. So when I do this, I like to get a good start on the pole wire, just to make sure that there's lots of tape there holding it all together. And then these guys, start with this one, get them in there, and these guys, and you're just trying to make a streamlined wad. Get this down in there to where I could pull, but I don't want to get that turned around too far. And then I'm back under here, and my victim is this red wire right here. And it's kind of awkward because I'm having to pull around a corner. So I'm going to pull a little bit, and then go back over here, and tuck a little bit, and pull a little bit. And so this job is made all the more awkward, but see, this just kind of thing drives me crazy. So this is a union that I have to remake. There's a wire, that other white wire goes up to do the upper marker lights. And in my mind, all splices and things should be done at least 6-8 inches away from the hole, because it's going to be a fucking, pardon my language, I have to actually disconnect the cable up there, pull it down some, make the connector, and then I'm going to put a splice in up there, because it's just not, you know, no matter what you're doing when you're wiring, you're not doing the last wiring job. Somebody else is going to have to fix it someday. That's just the truth of it. So go ahead and think about how that repair is going to happen in the future. And if that connector was back here somewhere, it would be super easy. I would have lots of extra wire to work with. So. Okay, there is a bunch of stuff all crimped and heat shrunk together. And so now I'm going to wrap that with electrical tape and affix it to here with a clip. Yeah, and so I heat shrunk this side. I got it all tidy. It's working great. Got this side, I'm crimping it. Ready to heat gun, and no heat gun. It's just so frustrating because I just got this tool. What the heck? So now I got to pull this apart, and it's probably, you know, it usually dies on these things are the coils inside. And what this gun, what's always been annoying about this gun is it doesn't have a cool off feature. So you turn it on, oh my God, really? All I had to do was bitch about it and it came back. So anyway, what this gun is lacking, I can't believe it started working again. That's so funny. So there you go. Sometimes bitching works. Well, I was going to throw my phone at this thing, but... Okay, so this is the Grand Coulee Dam. It's an impressive dam. But the most impressive part of this dam is the part you can't see, which is the fish ladder. Oh, that's right, it doesn't have a fish ladder. There's no fish ladder, it's just a big dam. I have a sketch of a fish ladder for this dam, and of course I know it's just pure fantasticalness, but fish are attracted to where the water comes out, and when they're migrating in the fall, the water doesn't look like this. It's coming out over there. That's where the turbines are that make the electricity, and there's more over here. So the fish need to go in there and then work their way up and over. And they need a combination of things to jump over and things to swim under. Some fish move better by jumping, other fish move better by swimming. So it's not a trivial challenge at all to design a fish ladder, which is why it doesn't have one. Because they couldn't do it, they couldn't figure it out. But we can figure it out. Come on, America, let's do something cool. Justify all this electricity. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I think it needs a fish ladder. This thing, so I've run all the wiring from up in here. And that's all looking pretty tidy. Use these insulated grommets, or insulated clips, and just ran them all down. And where they went through the old scabby rusty holes, I put some of this heat shrink around the electrical taped wires to double insulate them. This heat shrink stuff is great. You get it on Amazon. And it's nice and thick. And it's coated with glue on the inside, so it'll, when you heat shrink it, it gets all gooey. Anyway. So blah, 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 we're down here now. And so I got this junction box, and the temptation is always, you know, for the, going back to physics lab, is to find the wires that go exactly and make them all exactly the right length, you know. But don't do that. Make them all a little extra long. Mostly because you know, I've got a couple multiple wires that are the same color, like 2 reds, 2 yellows, a black and a brown. It's easy to get all that shit mixed up. Much easier to be able to just move it from terminal to terminal without having to recrimp ends on it. So I'm just going to crimp all those ends on. Using these more Amazon stuff, these heat shrink electrical connectors. And they're and I'm using these, got these on Amazon. They're like 17 bucks or something. And I actually took it over to the belt sander, and you can see those Sharpie marks there in those little teeth. That's so that it would crimp down a little harder. It was closing down, but I felt like it needed just a little more, so I shaved those down to give it a little more squash, because, you know, you want it to be click and like really be squashed and not fall apart. And then the heat shrink is nice because it seals the wire and the copper from getting playa dust in there. I'm always doing everything for the playa. So I'm troubleshooting. So before I crimp anything to like taillights and stuff, I like to just poke them in there loose and just let them sit there. So, and then hook up 12 volts and actually see what's going on. So I've just got a pair of, they're actually leads from a battery charger that died. And I put some eyes on, so I've got the ground going to the trailer ground. And then the positive, you don't ever have to worry about 12 volts. 12 volts isn't going to cause you any problems. I mean, it's not going to, you know, there's no shock going, there's no nothing. If I touch these together, there'll be a big spark. But it doesn't go through your skin. Anyway, what I want to know is, I've verified that the marker light is working because I have everything down here labeled. Now I want to look for left turn. And there's left turn. And that would light up the left side of the trailer. I'm actually looking for right turn. Okay, there it is. This is how my brain has to think. Right, left, depends on where you're going. So that should be lighting up the bright side back there. And let's see if it's happening. Nothing. Nothing at all. This is an invaluable tool. This is the voltmeter here. So, but I just want to make sure that I'm not crazy. No, that's not true. I'm crazy. But just to check and see if it's, because it could be this bulb holder. This bulb holder is obviously a little funky looking. It's been in there a while. So it could have some corrosion that's keeping the signal from happening. So see if I can do this one-handed. I'm going to hold this one on the ground right there, which is my ground. And I know that's working because the brown, or the marker light came on. And then I'm going to poke this in this green one, and I'm going to see if there's any voltage in it. And there's really not. There's only 0.6 volts in it, which is not enough to light up a bulb. So now we start the fun job of troubleshooting. So where is this green wire broken? And how far back is it? And this is a single circuit thing. It's not like this goes anywhere else but to here. This is only the right turn. if I've got, well, obviously I don't because no voltage is going out there. But I need to start looking for the bad connection, so let's do that. It's got a sharpened tip, and it's just a big wad because it could be shorter, obviously, but if you stick it through the pliers and then wrap it around the pliers, it kind of gives you something to push with. And anyway, I don't want to ruin the insulation, but I want to check the voltage, so I got to poke a hole in it. So with my wired gizmo here, I got this crammed in there. So we got battery voltages back to that wire, and that makes me think it's something going on inside there, which kind of sucks because it's all tidy, but that's the nature of wiring. I always do that. I always tidy before everything's done, just because I kind of like to do it. So now I need to poke that wire into, I believe, that green wire right there, and see what's going on. So after some troubleshooting and testing wires various places, there's a break in this green wire, not a complete break, but most of a break somewhere inside this tube. And because I ran that wire in without testing it first, it's really my fault. And it did give me kind of a warning because when I was crimping the ends, or wire stripping the ends underneath here, I kept breaking the conductor because the conductor is fucked up. So I'm going to have to pull 3 more wires through this hole and take apart some connections under there. And that sucks, but that's what I got to do. God damn it. Okay, so the hands came through and the tenacity, and I ended up running I had some extra wire left over from the other side, and it's the same kind of crappy wire, so I just ran a set of 2. Now the red and yellow together are the stoplight, and the brown wire is the marker light, and I was able to use the ground as a pull cable to pull the cable through, then pulled the cable through twice as much, taped it back on, pulled it back through, so I saved the ground wire. You know, can't cheat, right? You just got to keep trying. So anyway, if this works, so right now I've got them, they're not crimped there on the top. They're just poked in there. And if the gods are with me, I'm going to look up power, and that light's going to come on. So let's see what's going on. I guess I should double check here so I don't waste any time. I've got my grounds connected, and I've got my hot going to right turn, where that's the right side of the trailer. Okay. Oh, I saw a little spark. That's a good sign. When you see a little spark like that, that means that power is going to something. So let's hope it's a bulb. Oh, praise be. There's a bulb lit up all nice and shiny. Okay, so now I'm going to move my hot over to the marker light again because I did mess with things. And now let's, come on. So that one's working. And that one's working. Yes. I still have to hook up the wire that's going up through here inside to those lights up there, but we'll do that next. So now I'm going to tidy this up. So I verified it, I checked it. I'm going to go ahead and crimp these guys and heat shrink them and do all the things that I said I was going to do. Okay. Okay, I'm finally have all the lights working. But that one's not worth laughing at.
No, it is.
was hanging in there. Maybe they'll
Why
catch
did
up
you
with the
keep
4
those
people that
things
passed him. Nope. So every time it dies, the navigator has to shift it in the park and start it again. And then shift it back in the drive. And then the driver gets to go for a little bit, and then, oh, it dies again. Oh my god. It's just chaos. Such pretty flowers. Well, the Porsche. There's a Fiero for sale in Oroville for $600. There it goes. So I replaced a bunch of stuff to try and make the idle better, and all I did was make it worse. So I think I have a vacuum leak or something. Something's not right, or the cold air injector thing is not working. Not the cold air, what do we call that? The idle air controller. So sometimes you go around fixing stuff and it doesn't work. Oh, my fan started squeaking too. So that'll be fun to fix. Good times. I love this car. Keeps me honest. The meth house is all closed down. That's the meth house right there. And Tonasket fired all the cops because they were corrupt and double dipping in the books, paying themselves overtime they weren't actually working. And they hired the sheriffs to come watch the town. And the sheriffs immediately arrested all the meth dealers and the prostitutes and shut that place down. Okay, well, it's all wired up. I got the license plate light wired in, and since we looked at it last, I've also added this breakaway electric brake safety system, a breakaway system, and it's all pretty tidy. And next up we'll be doing some corrosion type repairs, but money is tight, so we're just taking it one bite at a time. I also put some time into hammering this thing back into shape. Looks a lot better now. So yeah, it's ready for some duty. Ready for hauling some horses around. So this is the solar pump stand here, and I'm thinking that if there's just 4 fence posts pounded into the ground around it, it could be held down with ratchet straps, and maybe you could add an electric fence energizer in there as well and make it kind of a nice coherent package. Got it where we want it. I do not like spray painting, but this prototype does look a little better with some green paint on it. So I got that all spray painted in between rain squalls, and it's just as terrible a paint job as you could want. Drips and runs and all the rest of it. This is a log splitter, and it's a kinetic style that uses a rack and pinion and these flywheels to just slam a hammer back and forth. So it had a little, this little thing holds a wheel, and it used to be on a piece of spring steel that was bolted to that bracket. It has to articulate a little bit, and of course that spring steel fatigued and snapped. So I used a couple jig bolts and a chunk of shaft with a hole in it to make it go up and down. And this little guy seems to be working. So there was still some talk about making it have some bigger wheels and it'll be a bit taller, but let's see what Tim comes up with. So here it is, all tarted up with some green spray paint. Gotta admit, it looks pretty good. So,
Spot?
what did you say?
You said dirt spot.
Oh yeah, those are some dirt spots.
Yeah.
All right, we have a job to do.
We have got
Yeah, we gotta find.
Look, I can't get rid of that too. Gross.
We gotta find a 216 water inlet.
Stop.
I don't know if there's still a head on this motor over here. It's already gone. I need that part right there. Nothing on that one. Let's check the next one. Just a block, but it does have some of its hinges. Yep, it's another one just like our other ones. Okay, where would it be in this mess? If it's even in here at all. I don't really see anything. Oh, one of those things.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to show you.
Are you going to do the thing?
No. This one already got blowed.
Yep.
And someone forgot to pick the western flower, pick the western
Good
there.
job. Aha! There is one. That'll work.
No, it's mine! It's not gay! It's mine! It's mine! You want it? You want it? Daddy, you want it! No, drop it.
Good job.
Slashing.
Okay, now straighten it back out.
Let's straighten it back out.
Mm-hmm.
Having this one. Like that.
Whoa. Looks like you're kind of going off in the bushes. Mechanisms. And then if I zoom out, there's this wonderful show over here of a bunch of intermediate positions. You can see the top is separating nicely. The blue is the back, pink is the front there. Anyway, I have achieved maximum for today on that. Given the state of chaos in my life, every now and then I open up this toolbox and just look in here and say, wow, look at that. Every single Allen key, every single tip, all the wrenches, all the sockets, all the socket. I think I'm missing one actually. I noticed that the other day. There's one of these missing somewhere. Right there. I think it's the old 11 millimeter. Of course there's a 7/16 one over here, which is basically the same thing. But you know, I'll have to find one and stick it in there. Because there's just something satisfying about a kit with all its tools in it. Yep, so I designed this with this reinforced lip, and I didn't put the design into the 3D model, and so now of course it doesn't clear. It's very annoying, so I'm going to have to trim off all these tabs here. These octopuses oriented incorrectly. They're supposed to be like that, 90 degrees off. I don't know how I did that. That's as much as I can do. My hands are killing me. Hey, thanks to all the surgeons who have put me back together over the years. I really appreciate it. So I think I'm going to cut out some rings to put over the top of it to kind of hide the fact that there's these seams here rather than trying to weld them and grind them. I don't think I'll ever get it very tidy looking. So I'm going to go make that happen. And it's 5 o'clock, which means I better call the folks and check on the boys. I'd like to go ahead and just stay here and finish this, so I better check in with them. Yep. Turned out pretty cool. So when you get this thing, it's going to consist of a base, a bolt, and you'll need one of these things, 9/16, 14 millimeter. And you take the base out, you put that on the ground, like so. You grab this thing, probably should wear gloves. It's kind of sharp and gross, but and it sits down in there. But you get that lined up, and then that goes down in there like that. And then use your tools. This is a horrible sound, but it'll pull it down in there, and that locks it to the base. Oh, and then there's one other piece. This right here is the burn grate or whatever, and of course all this stuff's going to warp up and get all weird, and if this metal gets too warpy, just pull it out and smash it flat with a hammer. But there it is, the Octo Cube. And that's pretty cool, and it's got a story. It's a one of a kind. My pants are falling down. Let's see, that's a nice big washer. Ooh, there's a big fatty. And that should do it. So that'll go in the kit as well. And I'll just get it into just to hold that thing in place. Didn't really make a choice to be born white, and it certainly played in my advantage many times. And my heart goes out to everyone who's ever been in the situation where the color of their skin meant that they were gonna die. And I've got another political movement that I'm pretty excited. It just means so much. Okay. Anyway, enough of that shenanigans. I'm going to shut all this stuff down. Hopefully I didn't mess up that sign over there. And just go home. Oh, I haven't at all caught up on my projects here, but oh, look, my flash is on. Making some poles for my cousin who's making a big set of doors. So I got these 1-inch rods here that I'm going to taper from here out on both ends and make it about 18 inches long, and then roll it up to be a circle. And I'm kind of conflicted about how to do the metal. Okay, so I got these blanks cut out, just sort of randomly, whatever was left on the sheet. And those seem kind of wimpy. Might end up, well, we'll go up there and see what happens. Okay. Alright, we're on our way up to Gary's. Took the Porsche. I'm just incredibly behind. That's what I am.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
With having the kids has been a little.
Yeah, you got a lot of kid time this year.
Yeah, it's.
That's both good and bad.
Yeah, it's good and bad. Yeah. You want it primitive, they're going to get primitive.
Yeah? Okay. Every mark is like $1,000 diamond.
Yeah.
Right. Let's see, middle is right there.
Up there. Oh, I need to open that up, don't I?
You do it. Heavy.
Oh, perfect.
Now, you are pretty goddamn close to perfect. Yeah, you just gotta get those to line up a little better.
I think it's a little.
Well, it ain't much. Just get it a couple times right there, I think.
Comes off.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hard to undo it, right?
No, you're okay. That looks good.
Looking at the tack together beginnings of one of those legs maybe last time I was up here.
Oh, yeah? It could have been. It's been on the board a while. There's another one on the table out there.
Yeah.
I just started putting together.
Yeah, that marble really classes it up, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it looks great.
We'll roll up flowers.
Oh yeah, right. Just a bunch of strips cut, or
One big strip.
one big strip. Yeah, I remember doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, a CNC machine would work real good on that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I know.
Okay, so here's the poles ready to send out here. And Bo's gonna drill his own holes to use as whatever fasteners he chooses. This is a fun project. I like doing these kind of things where it's meant to look handmade, so this side is a little shorter than that side, and the ring isn't quite perfectly circular. But I think they'll look good. They're definitely impressively heavy duty. So we're going to pack these up and ship them out. Okie dokie.
I don't.
I'm a bulldozer man.
Oh, stop. Do that. Don't turn into bulldozer. A bulldozer's the one. No.
You want your arms in the back?
Yes. No, it's like that. Yes.
Hello. I feel like becoming taller. I think I'll turn my legs into, or my tracks into legs.
We have.
Hey, what's up? You ever played paddleball? Psh, psh,
What?
psh, psh.
This time you look different than me.
Oh yeah, well I put on my hat. You see, I have a very fancy hat. Other people have commented on my hat. They
Well-
said, that's a nice hat.
I have a backpack.
Oh, I see you do have a backpack. That makes me a little jealous. I have a hole right through my belly, see? Boop.